comment earlier, or in the comments area earlier about getting listed in Google Maps. We're going to talk about this a little bit here as well. But this down here is your search organic results. This is what SEO focuses on right there. If you can get to page 1 of that, you're winning. So it is more than just keywords. So whenever people talk about search engine optimization, they're always like, okay, well, what keywords should I specialize in? Well, it's a lot more than that. Over the years, Google has become incredibly sophisticated, and it's all about search intent now. They want to deliver the best results for their customers, which are people searching. So Google has more than 2 trillion searches every single year that go through Google, and they want to deliver the best possible results. And so for the last 20 years, people like me have been trying to fake out Google. And we're trying to always like, okay, well, how can I like trick Google into showing my content ahead of time? Don't bother. They're pretty darn smart. They figured out what we're trying to do. And so now it's all about focusing on search intent. And so when you think about, okay, what are people actually looking for in order to find my website? Be as honest as you can. Be as upfront as you can. Don't try and trick them to come to your page when, in fact, they don't want to look at your content. Focus on the people that do and move from there. All right, so why is SEO important? I kind of hinted at this a second ago with the number of searches, but there's a little bit of background on this. I have worked with literally thousands of organizations about their websites and why they build their websites. And I always ask, one of my very first questions are what are your business goals? What are you trying to achieve with your web presence? It always boils down to 2 things: brand awareness and lead generation. Everyone wants, that's why you're on the internet, right? You want people to know about you and you want business from them. You could be, lead generation could be, hey, I want to sell a widget. I want someone to book an appointment, or I want somebody to donate to my cause, or I want somebody to vote on something. So when I say lead generation, it doesn't mean just business leads as far as like, hey, I need to make a sales call, but lead generation in terms of I want someone to do something and convert to my cause, whether I'm a nonprofit, association, an e-commerce shop, a local spa. It doesn't matter. That everyone, that's the reason that you're on the web. If you're not looking for these 2 things, you're probably not actually on the web in the first place. So how is that then important as far as SEO is concerned? Again, like I said, there are, I don't remember how many billions of searches every single day on Google. But some interesting facts, almost 68% of all online experiences begin with a search engine. That's where people start. And from a local perspective, 72% that do local searches visit a store within 5 miles. So again, if you can optimize your SEO for that local presence, then that gives you a leg up almost immediately. And 70 to 80% of search engine users are focusing on the organic results. You probably talk to people about, like, again, going back to those Google ads, you think, okay, well, I always skip the Google. I don't ever click on the ads. I immediately jump down to those organic results. You will do that because you know that's more likely to be what you're looking for versus an ad. So the bottom line is the more quality organic traffic your site receives, the more business you'll see, period. I was going to try and find like a mic drop sound that I could drop in there, but that is the number 1 message from an SEO perspective. It's that organic traffic. If you can get quality organic traffic, I can drive thousands of people to your website, but if it's not impacting your business, it's not really helping you. So it's that quality organic traffic, you will get more business, period. All right, so let's jump into some best practices here. The 2 things that we're going to go into a lot of, like, hey, you should do this, and you should do that, and we'll talk about some of those pieces here in a second. But the 2 things that if you don't walk away with anything else, I want you to keep this in mind when it comes to thinking of your own SEO strategy. Create good content and track absolutely everything. Those are the 2 biggest things that I can recommend to you, and it will impact your SEO efforts and the success of your business. So with the content first, it's interesting with the windows here, I can't see my own notes. I'm going to move you over here. With the content first, content on a website can and does mean a lot of different things for a lot of different people. At the end of the day, though, you want to think about it from the Google searcher's perspective. They're coming to Google to find something. And the more accurate you can provide that something, the more likely Google is to rank you higher on the website. We get people requesting, again, all different kinds of content. You can see a lot of them here. And at the end of the day, one of the things to think about is content is the reason search began in the first place. The internet is filled with trillions of snippets of content at this point, and it's really hard to find what you're looking for. And so that was why search engines, that's why Google is one of the most dominant companies on the planet and the most dominant company on the internet. It's because they have figured out a way to do this search. So the better your content is and the more structured it is and things like that, the more successful it's going to be for you. And along these same lines, and we're going to kind of get into this a little bit before, but remember we talked about that search intent. You want to make sure that, again, you're not tricking people to come to your website. You don't want people to come to your website that aren't looking for that thing that you're posting up there, whether it's, again, a blog, a video, an infographic, whatever it might be. Cater to the people that you're trying to attract, give them the content that you want, and ignore everyone else. That will be a successful SEO strategy for you. The second thing is track everything. So one of the things that I always ask people whenever they come and talk to us about any new website projects or marketing, anything like that, one of the first questions I always ask is, well, what are your analytics telling you? No joke, at least half the people, if not more, maybe 3/4 of the people will say, oh, you know what, I think I have Google Analytics. I haven't looked at that in years. If you're not looking at your Google Analytics, you are holding yourself back. So what we always do is we set up custom dashboards for all of our clients, and we identify with them what their top things that they need to know about are. And this is different for each one of our clients. Some people are tracking different things and care about different things. And so we sit there and figure out, okay, well, when you look at Google Analytics, if you were able to print it out somehow, it would literally be thousands of pages of data. Heck, we don't even look at all that stuff for our own website, and we live and breathe this stuff every day. So we try to narrow our focus on, all right, what's most important for you? Some of the key things, that's actually one of our clients, some of the key things we do look at is organic traffic. We always set this up to kind of weed out internal traffic. So like every time Joe goes to the Alexandria Chamber website, it's not going to track his IP address because you know what, Joe's there every day. And that's not the traffic that we want to actually track. Instead, we want to make sure that it's geared towards, our target audiences. So we always try to see, okay, well, how's that organic traffic looking? And I ran a report for this one that basically says, and let's compare this past 4 months to the previous 4 months. So we've gone up there. Compared with all traffic, so this is not just organic traffic, but it could be paid traffic, it could be direct traffic, it could be traffic driven from social media and email, things like that. Page views, how many page views have we actually seen over the last 4 months? How many unique users have we seen in the last 4 months? Where's that breakdown of where these users come from? And this is always a great chart because social media, for example, is the darling of the internet right now, and everyone's always worried about their social media presence. Well, most people's traffic, and I challenge most of you to look at this as well, most of the traffic to your website actually isn't coming from social media. It's coming from organic search, direct, people actually typing in your actual URL, and referrals from other people. That's where most of your project or your traffic's coming from, and a lot of that's directly impacted by SEO. One of the other big things that we do is we always try to report back on users and sessions by events. And this is where the tracking really kicks in and is incredibly important. We always try to figure out, okay, if I drive, like Jen Kinnaman is on here and she wants people to come to her website and fill out a form, make a phone call, read some of her blogs, engage with her in terms of all the different insurance things that she offers. So what we would want to do is put tracking codes on there to say, okay, well, Jen, we know that you want everybody to watch this video. I don't even know if you have this or not, Jen. I should have done more of my homework, but I picked you out at random. We want you to watch this video and then give us a call. Well, we can actually put tracking code on there that will track from an SEO perspective how many people came to our website, clicked on that video, and then if we have a separate phone number for it, actually make that phone call or fill out a form. And so we have event tracking, so we can say, all right, how many sessions were on the website that resulted in an event? And again, that event could be downloading a white paper, filling out a form, whatever it might be. And so this is a great metric that we can look at to say, okay, well, over the last 4 months, we've had 586 users come in for this targeted thing, and 56 of them did what we want them to do. That's great. 10% of the people are actually doing what we want them to do. And then we can look at it and say, okay, how can we increase that even more? What if we change the picture here? What if we change some of the copy? What if we change that video? Can we increase that event tracking even better? So these kinds of things we really encourage all of our clients to do, because that's the only way that we can all really tell how well our SEO is doing. And by the way, as a side note, not just SEO, but any of the tracking on your website. If you do paid advertisements, if you do SEO, social media, if you send out emails, how many people clicked on that email, went to your website, read that thing you wanted to read, and they purchased or booked or did whatever that action is. Another big thing that we ask people for is, and that we always track with folks, are the most popular pages of the website. You'd be amazed at how many people I'll say, well, hey, where do you think people are going on your website? And they'll tell me, and then we'll actually look at their analytics, and none of that's the case. We do a lot of work for government contractors. They're infamous for this because they think that people are going to like their contract page and their case studies. They're not. They're all going to the careers page. Their traffic is filled with people looking for jobs. And so we explain that to them, like, okay, well, you're desperate, always trying to find new talent. Well, guess what? Talent's coming to your website. Let's accentuate that and build up your careers area to say what a great government contract you are and why they should come and work for you. So this is actually, from the last 4 months, this is actually a copy of the top 10 pages within the Ironistic website. So we had 33,000 users or page views on the come to the website. So those are actually pages that are viewed on our website. And it's interesting because this is a great example where SEO actually backfired for us, and we're the SEO experts. Several years ago, we created these 2 blog posts about using PHP sessions in WordPress and 4 major caching types and their differences. Our programmers wrote this. I have a bunch of nerds that work for me. They wrote a blog post that said, hey, what are these PHP sessions? And then we did a little bit of SEO for it. It went gangbusters. That's like one of our most popular pages on the site. Everyone on this phone call is a target audience for me. I want you to hire us for your websites and your marketing and all that kind of stuff. Does anyone here know or care what PHP sessions are? No, I don't know. And so this is one of those situations where it's like, all right, well, that doesn't hurt us from a Google and SEO perspective, but it's not really my target audience. What I want people to focus on I want you to be searching for digital marketing services. I want you to know who we are. I want you to come work for me. I want you to think about design and development. And so again, from a tracking perspective, this is very important for me as a business owner to make sure that the people coming to my website are going to the right things. A great example of that is we just started a campaign for credit unions. So we want, from an SEO perspective, we want credit unions to come to our website. Well, over the last 4 months, we've only had 107 page views for that, which doesn't sound all that great. But we just started that in January. The previous 4 months, we had 1. And so we can actually compare from January to April to September to December. And so in that regard, hey, we're doing gangbusters here. This is great. And that, even though we're ranked number 41 of most popular pages on my own website for a campaign that we got going, it will continue to increase because of our efforts. And again, that's an important thing for any business owner to be able to see and track. All right, so some other best practices. So again, the 2 biggest things, and I'm not going to let this piece go. We're going to keep reminding you about this because it's the most important pieces, is good quality content and track everything. So some other things to keep in mind. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned this, but good quality content, that's important. Organization. This matters, and when I say organization, I'm talking about your overall user experience. You're organizing the content on your website, the structure of your website, the structure on a web page, making sure that's very readable. If, again, Google's gotten very smart about this. If you have this amazing content on your website, but it's super complicated, it's hard to get to, no one really can kind of figure out how to navigate that maze, then Google's going to ding you and drop you lower in your in the search results, mainly because it confuses users when they come to your website. If they're confused, they're going to leave, and Google knows that they left, and therefore they're going to rank you lower. No one here is going to raise their hand if I say, hey, who likes slow web pages? And you know what? Google doesn't say that either. Google will, again, ding you if your page is slow. So you want to optimize your page load time. The faster you can deliver that good quality content, the higher Google's going to rank you. Same thing with mobile friendly. We've all been in our phones. I don't know if you guys can even still see me or not, but we've all been in our phones. We go to that website and it's not optimized for mobile, and you turn your phone and you try to zoom in and try to figure out how to navigate that page, and you're like, all right, forget it. I'll go find something else. Again, Google knows you're doing that, and they're going to ding you if you're not mobile friendly. So that definitely should be it definitely impacts your SEO. These next few here, making sure your URLs are search engine friendly, keyword optimized page titles and descriptions, and optimizing your images to include image alt text. These are things that you're actually doing on the page itself. These are very basic things that most people, if you have a content management system like WordPress or Drupal or anything like that, these are the basics that everyone says, hey, don't forget about doing these things. And to demonstrate that, so like if you look at our own, this is a page from Ironistic's website. So we recently did a blog post on SEO tactics in 2020. So if you look up here, this is that title tag. And this is what shows up in Google search results. First, it says, hey, what's this page all about? Well, we made it very clear. This is about 2020 SEO trends. If you're looking for that, click here and you might find it. We made our URL very search engine friendly. It specifically says 2020 SEO trends, not page number ID equals X312794, because no one knows what the heck that means. Try to make this as search engine friendly as possible. The headers that we use on the website refocuses on that. The content that we say right in the first 500 characters on the page, they all reference the same thing. So it's telling users, it's telling Google, it's telling anyone who cares. Oh, we've got our alt tag down here that if you hover over your images, this is like code that you can put behind it that says, hey, here's what this image is about. We've focused all of that on the key 2020 SEO trends and tactics. And those are the baseline pieces that anyone on this phone call can do with their own webpage. And it's important, again, try to be as clear as possible, because you don't want to trick people into coming here with SEO tactics in 2020, but then actually start talking about email campaigns. That's not what I was looking for. I was looking for SEO tactics. So let's make sure that we're being very clear about that. Some additional best practices to keep in mind. And I think somebody had asked about this in the chat, was the Google My Business listing. This is how you get ranked higher, not just in Google, but in Google Maps. And to go back to this screen that we had before, this is Ironistic's Google My Business listing. So you can see over here, as soon as I type in Ironistic, that's a branded keyword. So Google knows, hey, you're probably looking for this company right here. You guys can see my mouse as I'm moving over this, right? As I'm pointing things out? Okay, good.
Yes.
So we've optimized this for ourselves. So we want people to realize, hey, we're real people here. Click here and you can see photos of us. We want people to know that they can come visit. Here's where our location is. Google is offering website direction. I can save this as my favorite. You can see reviews, hours of operation. And if you were able to scroll down this, it would show you even blog posts that we've done recently. This is a fantastic way to optimize your Google presence. SEO, a lot of people think, okay, well, I'm getting less and less traffic to my website because people are using Google directly or social media or things like that. That's okay. If you are, for example, I don't know if Mara showed up here or not. I know she registered, but if you're 4 Directions Wellness and you want people to book an appointment with you when you're allowed to book appointments again, you don't really care if they come to the website. If Google tells them right here to call, and you can have a button here that says call, then your SEO efforts, which is, again, optimizing for search engines, have worked if they make that phone call, even without them going to your website. So the more you can optimize this, the better. Go back over here. So some other pieces besides the Google My Business listing. So creating location-based landing pages as well. If you are in multiple locations, creating, hey, here's our Alexandria branch. Here is our Falls Church branch. Here's our Richmond office. Having specific location pages helps tremendously, again, whether you're a B2B company or B2C. Something relatively new with over the last couple years, really, with Google that they've really been focusing on is basically your level of expertise. So Google has, and you've seen this with social media and things like that as well. Google's really started to try to figure out, okay, I have all this content out there. People are getting better and better at highlighting the good quality content. So let's start focusing on who's actually the authority. If this is Chris Foss commenting about coronavirus versus Dr. Fauci commenting on coronavirus, I should probably rank Dr. Fauci as a little bit higher than Chris Foss is. Google's trying to figure that piece out as well. And the way that they do that is they're actually looking at your authoritativeness on your own pages. So they're actually crawling through and finding out, my long-winded way of saying this is maximize as much as you can about your own credentials. So your about pages, your bios for your leadership, impacts that you've actually been able to create within your industry. Things like this, Google's starting to rank, especially like if it impacts the physical well-being. So like for a lot of doctors' offices, mental as well. So any kind of like medical piece of this, if you're not able to establish that you're an expert, Google has started to kind of decrease. We've got a client of ours, Somnology, which is they're experts on, they're sleep doctors basically. And we were doing great with SEO. And then a couple years ago when this came out, they plummeted because Google wasn't recognizing them as experts in their field. So we've spent we've proceeded to spend the following 6 months really bumping up their SEO from an expertise perspective and saying, look, these are the top of the people in their field. These are their expert opinions on these types of things. These are awards that they've won, all those kind of things. And Google has recognized now, oh, hey, these guys are legit. Let me start ranking them high again. So the more you can put on your website that really does promote you as an authority has become a pretty important piece of it. Last and not least, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but good quality content is also super important. All right, so we've talked about some of those best practices, and again, during kind of the Q&A, I'm happy to address some additional questions about that. But so what do you do with this information now? So how do you create that SEO plan? I mean, I would recommend that you hire Ironistic, but besides that, what else can you do? Because you want to be number one on Google, right? So how do we get you there as fast as possible? Number one, make a plan. You do want to, this is not, there's not some magic bullet of, hey, I want to be listed number one on Google. The magic bullet for that, by the way, is to pay for it. You buy an ad, you can get listed as number one on Google. You pay enough and you'll be listed up there. But for those organic search results, create that plan. Ask yourself these questions. What's the purpose of my website? And is that clear to users and search engines? Again, I get a lot of comments from people saying, well, why aren't people finding me? And then I'll go to their webpage. I'll spend a good 10 minutes trying to read what they do. And I'm like, I still don't even know what you do. I don't even understand what you do. Think about it from your user's perspective, or from the searcher's perspective. Make sure that the purpose of your website is very clear, because if they land on your page and you're not answering the questions that they want answered, they're going to bounce and leave very quickly, and Google will know that. And next time somebody searches for that, Google puts you down a little bit lower and lower and lower. If you're able to generate if you're able to generate content and I stay on your page and actually engage and stay there longer and don't just immediately leave, Google knows that and they're like, oh, hey, this is a good page. Let me rank it higher. So what's the purpose of my website, and is it clear to users and to search engines? Who are my target audiences, and what are the search intent? Again, if you are a health and wellness company in Delray, don't put a review of Aslan beer on your website. That's not why people are there. Focus on what it is that people are looking for. Sorry, Aslan. Get as many reviews as you can. You want people to come there with that search intent and fulfill that search intent. Again, tracking. How is success being measured? So when people are coming to your website, what do you want them to do? And then track whether or not they're doing that. I once went to when we did the whitehouse.gov website, that was for a previous company, it wasn't Ironistic, but I was one of the lead people on that. And it was for the Obama administration. And one of the things that the Obama campaign folks did, which was fantastic, was on their donation page, their level of tracking was beyond belief. They would sit there and on the page, they would track everything down to the word, to the picture, everything. So it's like, all right, well, do we get more donations after a press conference if it's Obama with his family smiling at the camera? Or after a press conference, do we get more donations if it's Obama looking serious and staring off into the distance? They would do so much tracking and testing on that. It was insane. And their level of, I mean, they still are kind of the case study for maximizing number of donations from a campaign. It's something that from a tracking perspective, again, what do you want to measure? What do you want them to do? And how do we make sure to keep tracking that and improving on it with each session?
Chris, we had a question come in about the EAT acronym you used. Someone asking a little bit more about how that check is being done. Is Google running some kind of AI to utilize this? Is there, any, human one-on-one interaction that's prioritizing that? What is your feedback on that?
Great question, and I am not going to give you a good answer, so I'm going to apologize in advance. There is no one checking this. There's no person that's sitting there and saying, all right, is Lovey actually know what's going on in the business world of Alexandria? Google is doing that through automated processes. And unfortunately, Google, from the very beginning, has never truly defined all of the things that they measure. They track and rank people off of hundreds of metrics that everyone's guessed at. Sometimes they've told us, sometimes they're like, oh, well, that's kind of a secret. And the same thing goes with that authoritative piece of it. They are using a lot of different metrics to try to figure that out on a AI sort of basis, not an individual person. However, some of the things that they are referencing and tracking against, again, is content on your page that reinforces, hey, we are an award-winning, we are scientifically cited, we hold these credentials. They're looking for things like that. They're also counting it against how many people are actually referencing you as an expert. So if there are other websites that are asking questions about, hey, what's the best way to do X, Y, and Z? And those are linking back to your website, Google says, oh, hey, these guys must be an authority on that. And they're looking at how long people stay and read that content. So you get that link from that other website, comes to your website, and that person spends 3, 4, 12 minutes actually reading your content. Google's like, well, this must be some good content here. They must know what they're talking about. So there's all kinds of things like that that contribute to that authoritative, that EAT acronym. But unfortunately, there's nowhere that you can actually just kind of send a form into Google and say, hey, Google, I'm an expert, trust me, and come to my website. And actually this point here, as far as that content calendar, that reinforces that too. So things that Google looks for are not just the quality of content, but also all the different elements of content that you can give. So in a perfect world, you have a landing page for, I don't know, we'll go back to that government contractor example. If you're a government contractor and you have a landing page for IT management for federal agencies, and on that landing page, you've got a video of the CEO talking about your services. You've got a bulleted list that talks about all the great things that you do. You have testimonials from different agencies that are currently clients of yours. And you've got resources that people can click on to download an infographic, a white paper, and register for a webinar about that particular topic area. Holy crap, Google's gonna be like, that's amazing. You've got all this great content, all focused on IT services for the federal government. This is probably a pretty good website. And so they'll rank you higher because of that. So creating that content calendar is very important. You want to focus it on specific keywords and say, okay, I'm going to create an infographic that's focused entirely on, I don't know if anybody from NIB is here or not. I know they register, but I'm going to focus all on the impact of, visually challenged folks working in different industries. I'm going to create an infographic all about that. Well, that's a good infographic. It's going to start getting referenced by other people that are, impacted by eye diseases or blindness or workforce type things. And Google's going to recognize, oh man, everybody's downloading this infographic from NIB. This is some good quality content. I'm going to send more and more traffic to those guys. So creating that content calendar. Now, I will also warn you about this piece of it. This is one of the hardest things for all of our clients to do. Generating content's tough to do. And if you can't do it, you don't have time to do it, hire some content writers. Hire somebody like us that will sit there and actually map out that calendar for you. We'll create videos, we'll create infographics, we'll create content that you can then release and promote throughout the year. Submit your sitemaps to Google Search Content Console and Bing. This is getting a little bit more of the technical side of SEO, but you can actually create your sitemaps to specifically talk to search engines and say, hey, search engine, here's what you can find on these pages. Trust us, crawl it, verify, and then present that to anybody looking for this kind of content. Google will also tell you where you're messing up. If you pay attention to your Google Analytics and you look at your Search Console, they'll actually tell you, hey, this web page is missing X, Y, and Z, so therefore we're not going to rank you as high. Fix those things. This is actually kind of the wrapping up here as far as things that I would love for everyone here to be thinking about. We use a software called Moz to do a lot of our, to assist us in a lot of our SEO efforts. And Moz is one of the, I mean, pretty much any SEO company will be using or at least familiar with Moz. And they've got this great chart here that kind of outlines what you should be doing from an SEO perspective. The pieces at the bottom are absolutely essential. You have to have these, otherwise, and you can ignore all the stuff up here until you've got this down here. One, make sure that your site's accessible. You want to make sure that search engines can actually crawl through your website. And two, give them something good to crawl through. Give them that compelling content. Without these two pieces, you can ignore everything else with SEO and don't bother. Once you have these two things, then you can start actually optimizing. So this whole thing about search engine optimization, this is how you get in the search engines. This is how you optimize for the search engine. So you want to actually start creating specific pages that are targeting specific keywords and key phrases, not keywords, because almost everyone searches for at least four-word phrases now in Google. And so you want to optimize for specific key phrases. You want to give people a fantastic user experience, because the more that your everyday user, humans, actually can appreciate and use your website, then the crawlers will see that as well. Create share-worthy content. So not only put content on your page that's fantastic, but make it easy to share. Share it on social, retweet this, comment on this. Optimizing like the actual code behind the site, title, URL, description, some of those things that we talked about. And then actually the highly technical pieces of, all right, let's actually maximize our actual code markup and create snippets that Google and I mean, I would say other search engines, but let's be honest, all we care about is Google. We want to make sure that we maximize that as well. So this is something that, again, from a hierarchy and importance perspective, it really does start with this content and accessibility. Start there and you're heading down the right path. Once you start getting into these things, that's where the optimization pieces kick in and where folks like Ironistic can certainly help out. And with that, it's that easy, right? All right, so I expect all of you to go back now and be able to optimize, and I want to report back on Monday on who's #1 on Google for their search engines. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, I guess. Maybe. Stop sharing.
Right, and it looks like we did get a number of questions. We'll start with Valerie's question. She was asking specifically about the business listing in Google Maps. She was asking about how to get your business listed in the map without searching for it. I know sometimes when you're just searching a map, you can zoom in and different businesses are highlighted and pop up. Do you have any clarity about that?
Yes, so that's very much impacted by that Google My Business listing page that I outlined. Basically, you have to register with Google. And this is for anybody who actually has a physical mailing address. If you're working from home, then sorry, I don't have any tips for you. But if you actually have a physical mailing address, what you end up doing is you actually go into anybody can Google this, but go to the My Business Listing page, or just go onto Google Maps, find your business, search for it by name, and then there'll be an option in there that says like, own this business, claim this business, claim it. say that you're the owner of that business, you will then get control of your Google business listing. You can put in your hours of operation, you can put in your exact location, you can put in like blog posts and pictures like we did. What they'll actually end up doing is sending you a postcard because they want to verify that you are who you say you are. And so if I forget who you said asked this, but Valerie, whatever your business is, if they want you to, if you want to claim that listing, they're going to send you a postcard and say, hey, enter this code to prove that you are who you say you are. And then you'll get control over that. And once you actually optimize that, you are more likely to come up not only in Google search results, but in the map results when people just type in, again, spa or health facility or government contractor. When they look at maps in that area, you will be one of the results that they show.
All right.
And if you, so Valerie, sorry, I just noticed the follow-up there. So you've actually already gone through that and you verified and claimed it. Have you, and you've gone in and actually edited like your, put in your hours of operation, put in links to your website, things like that?
I can mute you as well, Valerie, if that's helpful.
Well, no worries. I mean, that actually is pretty surprising because typically what ends up happening is once you actually, you know what, ping me separately and let me take a look. I'm not sure why that would be the case because typically once you've actually registered and Google has verified who you are and that you are in the location that you say you are, you're immediately in, from a Google Maps perspective, one of their listings that they can authoritatively say, yes, this organization is here and it provides these services. So I'll take a look at that.
Looks like we have a question from, apologies if I'm mispronouncing your name, Saba. What if you feel your content is good but has limited responses from the audience? How do you market for your company properly without letting yourself get discouraged? This is also
yeah, and I think you had said particularly on social. I remember seeing that question come up earlier. So this goes into everything else with digital marketing because we do get that a lot. It's like, hey, I've created this amazing content and yet I'm still not getting any exposure from it. It's a balance. So at the end of the day, when you have a marketing plan, it should include SEO as a key component of that, but it also should include, hey, let's get some paid ads out there. Let's get an email campaign going. Let's send 1 or 2 emails a month, 1 or 2 emails a week, depending on who you are. Let's get that social media cadence going. And I'll talk about social media here in a second. Let's make sure that we're actually encouraging even our own staff to share those kind of things. So like we have some clients that will sit there and say, oh, I've got these great white papers that I've created. I post them up on LinkedIn and nobody knows about them. And I look at their LinkedIn page and their own staff isn't even liking and sharing it. And so there's some internal training on that as well to get engagement. And because the more engagement you have, the more important Google thinks you are and the higher they're going to rank you. So that's kind of an all encompassing like marketing plan. You want to be able to, you've got this great content, the more engagement and exposure that you get for that, the higher Google's going to rank you. And so it is kind of a snowball effect that you want to hit that critical mass. When it comes to social media though, I'm going to be super blunt about this, and I know this isn't a very popular opinion, but for B2B clients, B2C is separate. So if you're appealing to consumers, social media is fantastic for you, and you should try to leverage that as much as possible. Social media doesn't like businesses. They don't like to promote businesses, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn a little bit more so. But social media does not like promoting businesses. They want you as the business to pay for that. So therefore, if you're trying to promote content in social media, do it as an individual. Have your employees do that. You still have to post it you still certainly want to post it on your official business page. But as soon as you do that, share it on your own personal page. Tag people, individuals in your comments so that they're able to also actually engage. Because most of the time, if you think about your social media feeds, again, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn or anything like that, what do you see all the time? You see comments and posts by people. The only ones that you see from businesses are the sponsored ones. Those are the ones that it says even up there, sponsored, and you can do boosted posts, and I fully endorse that. I think that's a great tactic to do. But if you're relying on just, hey, I posted this up on my Facebook page, I put this on my Twitter account, how come nobody clicked on it? It's because Facebook and Twitter does not want to promote you, period. They want to promote individuals, and they want to promote paid advertisements. So in order to maximize that, you really got to engage on social media as individuals, not, you want to augment your business engagement by your personal engagement. Hopefully that makes sense.
All right, we have a question from Melinda Siegel. She's asking if you have any recommendations about how, to best be seen during, current uncertain times, if you're seeing any trends around, coronavirus response.
Yeah, that's a tough one right now because pretty much everyone's search history is about coronavirus. It's dominated the media across the board, whether it's, you're turning on the news or anything on the internet. That's what people care about right now. So it's really hard to kind of have your voice be heard. Some of the things that we have seen as a positive approach to this is really kind of focusing and reminding people what it is that you're doing on behalf, like for your company, for your employees, within your community, and help promote that, but also remind people that you're there as a business still. These are still the things that we focus on. And as people start realizing that there actually is a world out there besides COVID-19, if you're building up some of that content now, you will see the impacts of that as we kind of come out of this pandemic. And that's something I didn't really stress too much in the presentation. I probably should have. SEO definitely takes time. Like if you put out an amazing blog post like that PHP Sessions one that we did, that is the #2 most popular page on the Ironistic website. We wrote that blog 4 years ago. It is still the most popular page. It wasn't that day. It wasn't even that month that we released it 4 years ago. But over time, it has grown and grown and grown. So now we're telling all of our clients, we're like, look, you're not able to sell as much as you were before. You're not able to get your message out there as much as before. Let's work on your content calendar. Let's plan out all the content that you're going to release for the next 12 months. So use this as a productive time to generate a lot of that content and then be able to schedule that when it actually does make the most sense. There's so many things that go into posting content right now. You have to be very sensitive to what people are experiencing, and you don't want to put anything out there that looks like you're taking advantage of a pandemic to try and promote your business. And I think people are getting very, very weary of that right now, but use this time to build up that content that you will be able to release now and throughout the year, because it'll build. One final comment on the kind of timing for these things. Again, SEO takes a while. It's something that's definitely the marathon, not the sprint. The sprint part of it, talk to John Denuzio. His company specializes in pay-per-click management just like ours does. We can get you some immediate things if you pay for it right away. SEO is the long game. You're welcome, John.
It looks like we have one last question here from Mara Benner. She is asking, she said that she had a person write a review that was positive, but it was for, I guess, for an incorrect business. So she has an incorrect review. She asked people to delete it, but they haven't done it yet. Do you have any recommendations?
Yeah, reviews are something that is the curse and blessing of everybody right now. I mean, you can have the most amazing product, and you get one bad review, and suddenly that's what gets promoted, and it's painful. All you can do is continue to submit those through the proper channels, whether it's Yelp, Google, Facebook, anything. Try to make them aware of that. Those ones actually are done mostly by actual humans, and so it takes forever for that to actually get resolved. The other piece of it, though, is, and I encourage this for everybody, is comment on any review. So if you get a good review, say thank you. If it's a review for the wrong company, say thank you, but hey, this is for the wrong company. The users themselves may go in and actually fix that a little bit. And if it's a bad review, also comment. Say, hey, sorry that you had this experience. Why don't you talk to me offline? Always invite them to engage with you offline. Don't try to get into some fight, even if that customer's wrong and you're like, this isn't even my company. Why are you complaining about me? Give them a quick response and say, hey, let's discuss this offline. If you DM us or call this number. We're happy to discuss this with you. And we want all of our customers to have a fantastic experience, and then leave it at that.
Sounds good. Well, I think that just about wraps it up, given that we're just a couple minutes before the end. Joe, did you want to say farewell to any of our group here?
Sure, but I want to particularly thank Chris for being with us today. Chris, just lots of positive comments on the chat and great information. We all have to think about our websites after hearing you and thinking about what we've got there. But so I do want to point out to people, if you want to track events we're doing, if you want information on businesses and what they're currently doing, go to our site. It can go to Alexandria Chamber or the Chamber ALX. Both will bring you there. And our COVID page pops right up, and it tells you all about different businesses, both restaurants and retail and businesses like gyms who are selling insurance. We want you to find the people that are out there, and please use it. And it's going to tell you about the other events we have coming up for the parents that are home with their kids. And we will be doing something in a week or so about the legal aspects if you've got the PPP money. Jen recommended this to us yesterday, so we're working on that right now. So we have a wide variety of issues that we're trying to cover because we're about supporting businesses and cultivating community. So thanks to all of you. And Chris, really thanks for your time. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Nice to see everyone.